Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call members, please.
Gary Ross.
Yes.
Anthony Grass. Carl Kinski.
Here.
Justin Donovan.
Here.
Gina Bryant.
Here.
Kathy Waltz.
Here.
Christy Cleghorn.
Here.
Joe Prince. We have a quorum.
Approval of the agenda. On the agenda have sub 001-20, the City of St. Genevieve requesting approval of subdivision for the parcel located at 1000 block of Progress Parkway. ZA 001-20, James Ferguson of Audubon Redevelopment LLC requires that an RV park be added as an acceptable land use in the C1 General Commercial District and in an I1 or L1 Light Industrial District within the municipal zoning regulation. SUP 00320, James Ferguson of Audubon Redevelopment LLC is requesting a special use permit to operate an RV park upon the parking lot at 30 North Main. And SUP 004-20, Jane and Dustin Martin are requesting a special use permit to allow guest lodging in an R2 General Residential District at 288 South Main.
Motion to approve.
We got a motion?
Second.
A second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of minutes from May 7th.
Also move.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Introduction of evidence.
We have the municipal ordinances here, comprehensive plan, and then you have the staff information packets, hard copies in front of you for each one, and I sent that to you, I believe, Monday or Tuesday of this week.
Have a motion to accept the evidence.
I make a motion to accept. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Citizen input, is there anyone here regarding anything other than the agenda items?
I'm a resident here, and I just have my concerns. I live next to where you're going to put this in. Is this going to be in the dirt development or the parking lot, like the asphalt?
In the parking lot, in the asphalt area.
See, I'm right next door to that,
Uh-huh.
and I have my concerns with that. That's like rules and regulations and things, because I live in 78 North Main, where the old St. John there. You know, I'm just concerned with, I just want to see what the plan is. I mean, there's going to be a lot of noise, generators going all night long, fumes, and a lot of different things that it's going to affect me as a resident there. I'm probably the only resident in the area right there. But I do have my concerns after just buying the place in January and putting $40,000 in a historical place, and all of a sudden like an RV place coming right next to my house. So I do have some concerns with that. And
Okay.
I got a lot of different, because I was told it was going to be in the dirt, now you're saying it's up on the asphalt now.
When we get to that, we'll let them explain it, and you'll have a chance to ask
Okay,
questions.
I'm just saying, I did have my concerns with it being so close as a residence,
right.
or everybody else is a business, I can see where it can benefit them as a business at times, but being so close to the residents, I don't know if it benefit any of the residents around there. The noise, I've been there traveling across the country the last couple of years. I've been in RV parks, and sometimes they can get out of hand without rules and regulations, you know, partying and all this stuff here. And this is a national park historical area. You know, you don't want to do anything to kind of degrade the area after trying to build it up so much, you know. And that's the reason I moved down here, because of the quietness and kind of love the small town. So anyway, I just want to see what's going on with the plan and go from there.
Okay.
Thank you.
New business. SUB 001-20, the City of St. Genevieve requesting approval of subdivision for the parcel located at 1000 block of Progress Park.
I sent you an email. This is kind of a catch-up from something we did earlier. I considered it a minor subdivision. This is the piece of property that the city owns. you have a purchaser for this lot. I consider that a minor subdivision, but it doesn't quite fit the description. So we want to run it through the subdivision process and just subdivide it off. That's really what we're doing here. Our subdivision regulations require a plan, but there's no plan here because the city doesn't have any plans for development. The new owner may, but we don't. Questions with that? This is a piece of property we rezoned already to commercial. It's just subdividing off 5 acres, a 5-acre lot and a 36-acre lot along Progress Parkway.
And the purchaser is Isles?
Yes.
And I think their original plan was to put up duplexes, is that right?
I think he wants to put up duplexes, but no plan has been submitted.
So the proposal is, he's purchased the property already, or he hasn't?
He's waiting for us to record it,
Okay,
and in order to record it, we need to go through this process.
so he's wanting to purchase the property, he says he wants to put up duplexes, we don't know for certain when he would put up duplexes, because we don't have a plan. And if he doesn't put up duplexes, he still owns the property.
Correct.
But it's still zoned
C1.
C1. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
You got a motion?
Second.
Second, roll call, please.
Gina, did you say? Gary Rock?
Yes.
Carl Kensky?
Yes.
Justin Donovan?
Yes.
Gina Bryant?
Yes.
Kathy Waltz?
Yes.
Christy Clegg-Arn?
Yes.
Motion carries 602.
Next, ZA 001-20, James Ferguson, Audubon Redevelopment LLC requests that an RV park be added to an acceptable land use as a C1 general commercial district and in an L1 light industrial district within the municipal zoning regulations.
You have the staff report that we put together there, which makes a recommendation. I'll go over a few things. Municipal code has a section for mobile home and travel trailer parks. It's a little dated. This is more centered around motorhomes rather than travel trailers. There's a little difference there. Instead of putting it in a zone by right, meaning our code says you can have this in this section, we chose to suggest to you that we put it in the special use section of the zoning ordinance and zoned it as a recreational vehicle park within an I-1 light industrial district. So some surrounding communities put this into ordinance as far as what we have, mobile homes, but that is for large parks. The suggestion here from the applicant is a smaller park, and we'll come to that when we get to the next step. But what we thought in looking at the communities that don't have this by right in a specific zone, they have put it in a light industrial zone. So it's obviously not something meant for a residential zone, where there could be, I think the aforementioned generator noises and things of that nature, light traffic, kids playing. Commercial zone, possibly, but commercial zone meant more for merchant sales, business offices, things of that nature. But light industrial, where it is acceptable to have noises of that nature, crowds, things of that nature, that tends to lend itself to this same use. So that is why we suggested to you we add these definitions of what a recreational vehicle and a recreational vehicle park are, and then add into the special use regulation zoning section number 26, and that would fit in to our special use regulations as it is right now. Recreational vehicle park within an I-1 light industrial district.
I don't mean to be dense here, but you're wanting us to change the definition of what a recreational vehicle is?
No, we don't
or-
have any definition in this section of code right now. I'm wanting to add that so that if we add recreational vehicle park, it kind of controls the size and type of vehicles that can be parked there.
I guess what I'm not understanding is why would we need to do both? Why would we do that and then also require a special use permit?
Well, we
That's
want to
what coming-
require a special use permit, at least that's our suggestion, so that this board and then the Board of Aldermen can decide where these facilities would go, instead of just allowing it to happen by right.
Okay, so it wouldn't happen in every, if we pass this zoning thing, it wouldn't happen in every C1 area, or?
What I have suggested is only in I-1.
Okay,
It would be by special use permit, meaning it would have to come before us and the Board of Aldermen, only in an I-1 light industrial district.
okay.
And the definitions are just there so that whoever, the potential user of that property is, understands that we're not talking about bus RVs. They have to be a certain size.
Right,
And that's one example, but that's why the definitions.
okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Other questions?
If there are no other questions, I make a motion to approve.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. Do we need to do roll call on that, or just yea, nay?
We'll do a roll call,
Do roll call,
if you don't mind.
no problem.
So we have a motion and a second on ZA 001-20.
Yes.
Gary Roth?
Yes.
Carl Kinski?
Yes,
Justin Donovan?
Yes.
Gina Bryant?
Yes.
Kathy Waltz?
Yes.
Christy Cleghorn?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0-2 and will be recommended to the Board of Aldermen.
Third is SUP 003-20. James Ferguson of Audubon Redevelopment LLC is requesting a special use permit to operate an RV park upon the parking lot at 30 North Main Street.
Before we go to any public speakers, again, you have your staff report there, which is recommending approval of the special use permit with certain terms and conditions, and those terms and conditions are as follows. Minimum setbacks from the property line of 30 foot from the front, 25 from the rear, and 10 from the side. Adequate signage provided on site to guide RV park users in correct direction for safe and convenient entrance and exit to and from city streets. No entrance or exit shall require a turn at an acute angle for vehicles moving in the direction intended. Provide adequate solid waste disposal so as to create no health hazard, rodent harborage, insect breeding, accident, or fire hazard. Any grouped refuse containers or dumpsters shall be screened from view except on collection day and shall be adequately maintained as to prevent the generation of offensive odors. 4, provide either a sewage disposal system designed in accordance with all applicable state and local codes and regulations, or provide information upon arrival for access to a sanitary dump station. And 5, provide specific directions to RV Park on all marketing materials, contract, agreements, and website if created, guiding customers around and away from the train trestle located at the intersection of South Gabourey and South Main. Provide for signs to be installed at such intersection by the city, which direct all customers to the RV Park via South Gabourey and Front Street. In addition to that information, I wanted to make sure I reiterated when I originally sent this out. I had yet to obtain, or no, that's on the next one. But I wanted to point out that on the police chief and fire chief's recommendation, the fire chief, in the opinion, there was no substantial increase in fire hazards and he was fine with it. The police chief also had no substantial, was not worried about any substantial increase in traffic or suggestion, but did have a concern that Google MapQuest and other applications often route traffic to the downtown area via St. Mary's Road and under the trestle, which would be potentially problematic with the average height of campers and RVs. That is what led to the addition of asking the applicants to put signs and information on their marketing contracts and so on. I also want to add one more thing. This is a memorandum that I should have included in the original staff report, but just thought about it this afternoon. It is a piece of information out of the comprehensive plan, the city comprehensive plan. I'll read it to you. In addition to the background information provided within the staff report regarding SUP 003-20, the following piece of information should have been included. The City of St. Genevieve Comprehensive Plan includes the following strategic issue within the tourism section on page L9 in our comprehensive plan here. Quote, if the volume of motor coach traffic increases, parking will become a greater problem. The acquisition and demolition of properties damaged by flooding in 1993 has resulted in a significant amount of available land which should be considered for the development of additional parking of motor coaches, motorhomes, and other vehicles, end quote. While the city has not developed any of that flood acquisition land for use as an RV park, there does exist a need, as pointed out in the comprehensive plan study, which states also, quote, deficiencies in the infrastructure necessary to adequately accommodate visitors, including insufficient facilities to accommodate motor coach tours and tourists, end quote. I just wanted to give you that piece of information as you make your decision. And again, I'd reiterate, we did not suggest in our recommendation either on the zoning amendment or on the zoning amendment that we put this in a commercial district. It just happens to abut a commercial district. It's actually a light industrial district for mostly factory uses. And this would be in that zone. It does abut a commercial zone. I've talked with the applicants about if they wanted to use the paved area, that perhaps a rezoning would need to be done, but I will let them speak to that unless you have more questions for me. That's all I have.
Okay. Jim, would you like to address the board?
What I'd like to do is I'd like to let Mike Fowler go ahead. We're all part of this team together, and we've got pictures and diagrams. So, Mike, do you want to?
I would also, pardon me for interrupting, the two pictures that Mr. Ferguson referred to are also up here on the board if you'd like to look at them.
Hi, good evening. Mike Fallett, representing the three owners that are in the back there. So, as many of you know, or may probably know, the Audubon restaurant downtown. Also, they are currently the landowners of the paved parking lot across the street. That property does, as you can see from the satellite picture, go down and extend off the pavement down into the gravel area, which is where a lot of the Savannah's parking lot has been over the years. So the idea was that has come up on a lot of different occasions whenever I was involved with city government, and ever since then, as Mr. Bova pointed out, with the strategic plan of having the idea of some capability for recreational vehicles parked downtown. So the owners got together and talked through the different possibilities and such, and kind of laid out a plan, kind of a rough plan at this point, but a plan. And I know you don't have it in front of you, but it looks like probably 10 to 12 vehicle or RV type parking spots is what we'd probably be able to come up with down there. We can very much appreciate, what the gentleman talked about with something like that.
I had my concerns because most of it's more commercial, and I'm concerned with the property too. I mean, all of a sudden I get here and I fix up a historical home, think I'm doing something nice, putting all the money into it. Helping with the community, and then all of a sudden I have an RV park next to me. I'm concerned about, and I'm not concerned about making money on anything, but I just don't want to devalue my property.
Totally understand, yeah.
I'm concerned with that. Right. Something like that, and I've seen them across the country. You have good ones, and you have bad ones.
Absolutely.
I'm concerned with noise and things like that. I don't think anybody else is as close as I am, so I, just kind of my concerns more than anybody, probably.
Totally understand.
Okay.
The
rules and regulations on the place, that's why I want to...
Absolutely. I think there would be very much so. We recognize the fact that it is downtown. The restaurant has sleeping rooms upstairs, so we don't want, we're going to appreciate the quiet hours also. Absolutely.
I never want to do anything, I know you're going to lift the community up with COVID-19 and everything, get things like businesses sell, more food, and they'll attend the stores more and things like that.
Right.
And there are residences in the area, so you've got to be concerned with...
Absolutely.
They have their concerns.
I totally understand and agree, yeah. We would do that. I mean, we don't have a list of rules and regulations right now. It's something that we talk about, but absolutely. And yes, and especially at state parks and things like that, where they have not only parking, but they have room for more areas for recreational events, where they might get louder or whatever the case may be. But in this case, we're looking at kind of parking spots for them to be able to come downtown to the to the national park, to the historic area, and more or less just do that, provide a parking spot for them. There aren't any really other, right now there's a gazebo in the corner up front that people could, that's open to the public right now. Something like that, that might be replaced with more of a permanent structure. We don't, not sure yet, but we're kind of, looking at parking areas for vehicles, and then provide. Right now, the plan would be to provide them all three, what we consider a high-end parking with all three utility hookups: electric, water, and sewer, either at the station or a dump site so there again, drawing a little, what you might say, a higher end park. So that's kind of the plan, or that is the plan. We would, as you can see on there, we'd have to lay out very, and have folks figure out very strict rules on entry and exit. Right now, the parking lot, people can come and go in and out as they wish, and of course, all that would be redesigned, laid out, painting, signs, things like that. So to try to have good traffic flow in that area, and absolutely understand the concerns with the trestle down there, but getting them off on the front street, bringing them down, a different way. Would all be part of the signage plan, absolutely.
As far as the plan's concerned, the time, it's got to go through, I know the process and everything, but what are you looking at, time?
Ideally, it depends on how fast it can go through the board and such. Ideally, I would say later this fall.
I would also like to add in the zoning amendment, the definition we added of a recreational vehicle park, that recreational vehicles shall be on site for fewer than 30 consecutive days.
Oh, absolutely. Would not
This wouldn't be a park where someone could park for 6 months or a year.
Matter of fact, we'd probably even restrict it to more than to less than that. Yeah. We totally understand and can appreciate what the community's doing with getting the downtown to a level of the historic value and the national park, et cetera, et cetera. So there would definitely be some rules and guidelines put in place to try to keep it the way that the citizens would like to keep it, So we're probably getting back, though, I wanted to address, we're probably looking on the pavement side, we're probably looking right now, and we'll take a closer look after this and be happy to go over it with you, but right now we're looking at probably 3 larger spots up on the pavement, and the rest would be down below. So,
You mean on the dirt?
which is now the gravel.
Okay.
Yeah, so there wouldn't be anything against your fence. There wouldn't be anything over towards your property against the fence area. Probably 3 larger, what you want to call bus-size vehicles up on the pavement because of weight, et cetera, and then probably everything else would be down below that. Probably a retention wall put in, and because of that drop off, and the camper style or the smaller ones would be down below.
So the goal with the electric is to prevent any external generators?
We think that would really help.
I think that would probably be a reasonable rule too.
Yeah, could you have a rule saying no generators?
I think like an external generator.
Something we could.
A lot of them have their own internal generators that are relatively quiet.
Right.
But a lot of those external ones can't be.
Yeah, a lot of the external ones can be, and that's something we really haven't talked a lot about yet, but we could look at that. But having electric on site, we think, would really solve a lot of that.
Are you gonna have water and electric, or just electric from the beginning?
The plan right now is to have water and electric hookup at each site.
And are they gonna have burn pits, are they gonna have picnic tables, or just specifically parking spots?
When we lay it out, we're not sure if there's going to be. We'd like to have it wide enough for a picnic table, burn pit. If you know, haven't really gotten that far.
I don't think you could do
maybe,
that unless
maybe
it's
burn
open
pits.
burning, right?
You couldn't have campfires, for lack of a better term.
Right.
Yeah, but like a,
Within city limits, but could you have a chimenea or something of that
Right.
nature? We'd have to, there's code on that.
Right.
There's also noise ordinance code, so I just wanted to add that.
Maybe it's
Are there
the,
any?
maybe it's the,
That she said, are there any noise ordinance currently in the city?
Yes,
Noise
we
ordinance
have
codes.
noise ordinance code in our nuisance code.
maybe I should have mentioned this earlier, and maybe I'm just being nitpicky, but with the restriction of not more than 30 days for the RV there, do we have anything saying how much of a gap needs to be? I mean, can the person just drive for a day and then return, or?
There is nothing in there at this point that would prevent someone from leaving and coming back and staying for another 30 days. That would be up to you all.
at least if they would move it, it would show that it is movable. I wouldn't want something to be there for longer than 30 days and it become,
The engine broke down?
yes,
Yeah, we don't need
yes,
Cousin Eddie backing in there.
yes, yeah. So at least if they drive around the block, at least you know it's movable.
Rent for that would get pretty pricey too.
What do you think, Carl? I mean, are you thinking like,
No, I think she makes a good point. It's movable, and you make a good point. It's going to be an expensive
That would be
thing to stay there.
that type of long stay would get
Right.
quite
If
expensive.
they wanted to do that, they could rent a house.
Right.
Cheaper.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd just like to say to the owners and to you that I am completely supportive of this idea. The city has been scruffling around for more than 20 years, trying to put together the land, the utilities, the convenience for an RV park. Several proposals over the years have come to the Planning and Zoning Commission and couldn't get out of this board because they weren't good. I think this proposal is good, and I think that you guys are the people who will handle it correctly. We have owners here who are vested in the community, and I really think that it would be to the city's advantage to move forward with adopting this RV park.
So who is going to manage it?
It would be the same management that is currently managing the restaurant and hotel. They would check in at the hotel like they do now for the rooms upstairs.
the lots that are in orange, how deep are those?
So those, probably about 40 feet for
So do you-
those large ones.
Do you feel like that's going to be enough space, say your parking lot's full, for them to get in and out comfortably?
That's why it's going to be very important for us to have it painted up correctly. And you see the blue ones there for the residential car, for the cars, for guests and stuff. We're going to have to control that. So yes, they would be laid out, and if this changes in any way, when it goes to drawing, and obviously this is kind of rough, but when it goes to drawing, we have to lay out so they can get that type of vehicle in and out of there safely. And that's part of the reason we'd have to have one.
This is all preliminary.
This is preliminary, but it kind of lays out we need an engineer to lay it out, but this is getting pretty close.
Do any of you have Any commission members have any questions, concerns, deletions, or additions on the terms and conditions?
What about the generator?
I did not add in electric or water because you don't have to provide that. And I thought that would be up to the business owner, and same with the generator piece, but.
I think that falls under the noise. I mean, ordinances already imposed in the entire city.
Yeah, but anybody can run a generator.
Right,
Like
unless it
at home.
becomes a nuisance.
What does that qualify? Like what's it qualify as a nuisance? If the neighbor complains about it?
A noise nuisance is simply defined by a noise that, I believe the term is irritates, but I can look it up. It's not even there until someone complains about it.
Yeah. So then he's got to complain every time somebody's got a generator. You know.
There are 12 generators going at once.
Yeah.
Be a pretty legitimate complaint.
You gotta complain every time somebody honks
Yeah.
the horn in front of your house too.
Yeah,
So it's
but-
the
You
same.
got enough noise going down. There's like a drag strip going down North Main Street.
That's the drugs.
If you're gonna do it right. That's all I'm saying. I live next to it, you know, do everything right. And you can mitigate the noise and upgrade the city. I mean, we don't want to do it half-assed, and then you got, you know, you put the national park in, and then you got a third-rate city then, you know, you bring all these people in, but you got an RV park that's, what is this? We could have done it up better than that. That's all I'm saying.
So can we say
Only because I live
that,
next.
can we say that they have to supply electric to each trailer to alleviate the need for generators at all?
You all can decide what you want to say.
It may be more feasible to say nothing exceeding so many decibels.
That's probably in ordinance already, if you want to chat while I look that up.
I think that's kind of a bridge too far.
To say that they have to supply electric?
That's just my opinion.
Just a couple things to add to Mike's, what he put forth. Again, our goal is to put this RV park in. We put a lot of money and a lot of effort into the Audubons when we redone the building. And we're not going to have an RV park that's going to take away from what we put into this, into what we've done at the Audubon. So guarantee you what we put in will be first class. Our game plan is to put water, electric, and sewer in. For sure, water, electric. Sewer, we're looking at every spot, but it could be a dump station. We're not 100% sure of that. And so to control noise and everything else, the electric should do all of this with the being able to hook these things up. So there will be beautification goes with it. There'll be, things planted and things like that, so.
I don't think any of us are trying to insinuate.
No, but I just want to tell you that it's not going to be something that you're going to be ashamed of. And again, we have people stay in the hotel. We have a manager that lives on property. She would be taking care of all of that stuff, and it's not going to, we've not had any
You live
issues.
next door to it.
I know, I totally understand. Yeah, no, I wouldn't want that either, so.
Especially having a manager living on property, right?
Yeah, anytime we have anybody in the building, we have to have, since we're AAA rated, we have to have somebody.
So a noise disturbance in city code is defined as any sound from any source which, one, endangers or injures people, animals, or real property, or two, is of continuous duration and loud enough to be audible across a real property boundary and to disturb or annoy a reasonable person with normal sensitivities when situated at the farthest edge of such real property boundary. A continuous duration is defined as either a period of 15 or more minutes or one or more times each 8-hour period or 2 times daily. So I would think if a large generator were running nonstop, audible across a real property boundary, and able to annoy a reasonable person with normal sensitivities, it would qualify for a noise disturbance.
Again, that's a preliminary drawing. We could even take the units and move them down to the lower level. We're still working with an engineer on putting this together, but that was something we came up with. Roughly 8 to 10 units would be what we're looking at.
Is this pavilion that's on this picture that looks like it's next to his property, is that his or yours?
That's been eliminated.
Oh.
Yeah, we have a pavilion in the very front of the property, the gazebo.
This right here, pavilion. would not be there.
It was just drawn in.
It was drawn in.
It's not going to be.
There's already one up here in the corner, that's, if whatever that would be there, that would not be there. That's good. That's good. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that the city ordinances that we already have will cover any issues that may arise, and then if it is a continued issue on their part, then when we revisit a special use permit in a year, then...
We don't have that written in here, but we can write it in, as far as revisiting it.
Now, Dave, since this is not a structure like a building, this is just parking, the setback that you and we kind of discussed, that 25 feet from property line, is to the backside, is that something that we need to address now? Or
Since it's not a structure, because a structure, we already have setbacks for structures.
Right.
In code. That is why I included it in here, so that there could be setbacks for this use. If the folks here don't want those setbacks, so what Jim's alluding to is when you build a structure, it has to be a certain distance off each property line. Okay, there's no structures being involved here besides possibly a retaining wall. So my suggestion was to have some setbacks, to be a certain distance away, but all of this is flexible if you want to change it.
So that would keep the travel trailers from being parked closer to the boundaries?
The area of use for RV parks would have to be 30 feet from the front of the property, which it by far is currently as they propose it. 10 foot from each side, it's right on that, as I see it.
Right.
And please correct me if I'm wrong. 25 foot off the rear, that would be an issue with what currently is mapped out.
Mm-hmm.
But keep in mind the rear
Yeah.
is an additional parking lot.
And
So
who
that
owns
could
that
be
parking
less.
lot?
Huh?
Who owns that parking lot?
It's either TRH Realty or Sylvanus property.
Oh.
The factory that sits right there owns that parking lot also.
We've already discussed with Sylvanus about our plans, and so anyway, they totally understand what we're trying to do.
So that rear distance could be reduced, any of that could be reduced or increased.
I think the setbacks are reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even though it's still a trailer, you don't know.
At any point, a special use permit can be revoked by the board.
A special use permit can be revoked, absolutely.
So if it does become a nuisance, we can revisit it.
Just cause.
Yes, we can't just decide.
Continuous noise complaints, things of that nature.
And again, we could write in here that there be no, I would want to get more specific than large, but large generators, or that electric has to be provided, or that I revisit this in a year. Those are all things that are up to you.
I think the train probably makes more noise than any of these generators are going to make. I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Well, I think that
yeah, I'm sure you do.
the label of RV park is the deceiving part. You know, it's not, 5 or 6 families are gonna pull up there together and pull out a tent and a barbecue pit
No.
and, campfire and hoot and holler all night long. I think this is aimed more as RV parking.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, we're not going to have tent parking. I mean, again, for what we anticipate the cost to be, they would be better off going to Hahn to put a tent up
Right.
than to pay the money that we're going to ask. Again, it's not going to be something, we haven't come up with a dollar amount, but we already know what other RV parks charge, and so we believe that what we'll have is going to be nicer units is going to be coming in and staying there. Again, we're downtown. If you look at what's going on now with the virus, there's more motorhomes, RVs being purchased now than ever before. And so we think that there's a need for this. especially now that we're a national park, and I think that we can support that need with what we're trying to do on our parking lot.
Sir, could we get you to state your name and address so we have it in the records?
Yeah, William Robinson, Robison,
Did you-
78 North Main Street.
Okay. We'll make sure we get that in there.
The old headmistress.
Thank you.
Hey, Dave, just to clarify, so are you saying that the setbacks would or would not apply to vehicles? That you have the way it's written now?
It would apply to the use. So wherever the area is, let's say it's 100 by 100 where this is going to exist.
Okay,
There would have to be setbacks beyond that.
okay.
And when I spoke with Jim, the challenge there would be the rear.
Yeah, so I think we would try to make that request to the board right now, then the 25 feet setback in the rear could definitely be an impact.
How wide do you anticipate your roadway?
Well, the road, since it's one way, 12 to 15 feet should be more, should be adequate. So then if that road sat, pretty close to the property line, you have another 10 feet on the other side of the road where there couldn't be a RV, and that's I don't know that we can get it in there between there and the retention wall that we're talking about putting in. So
We
20,
made the setback on the back of the 10 feet.
Right.
To the road.
right.
He's talking about a 15-foot road. I mean, you would need a fairly long.
If you had a 15-foot road and then another 10 feet,
Right.
that would be, that's going to impede on the parking.
I think we have to make that back.
10 foot on the sides, is that what you said? I mean, that's 10 foot on the sides is,
30 in the front, which is more than sufficient there.
except that the cars that currently park there.
No, that would not be part of
No.
this.
Okay, thank you.
I say make all three sides 10 feet. Anybody have a problem with that?
So so the road's gonna be on the property line?
The road,
The road's gonna be on the property line?
That would be the
15
intent.
feet?
yeah, if it's a 12 to 15 foot wide drive on the property line, and then the spots would start after that.
I'll make it 15, I mean, even if you put a 12 foot, you're still gonna be 3 foot off, I'm sure, with the camper.
Yeah, you're not gonna want your,
So
right on top of that
make
road.
it 15 on the back, 12 on the back.
15 feet would be reasonable.
I think so, yeah.
If, you know,
I mean,
12
if the engineer drew something up and it came back different, I guess we could just apply for, request an amendment again, but
You can, absolutely.
So we're going to have a road that goes right along the parking lot that, again, the road itself, are we saying that we have to be 10 foot off of our property line where the road's going to be? Or could
No.
the road?
no, the road would include the
Your
road's
setback,
not counted in that.
your setback would be your road.
Yeah. The setback would be the road. Yeah, that'd be great. Any other questions right now? Sure appreciate your consideration, thank you.
Do we need to change the language then?
I plan to, I was going to try to get the numbers. I don't know if you just want to discuss altering the rear or all three.
I think we're good with the sides and the front, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so we can just make a motion to approve with the amendment.
Right, and is 15 foot what I'm hearing?
Yeah, that sounds good.
So I would alter number 1, minimum setbacks from property lines 30 foot from front, 15 from rear, and 10 from side for the area where RVs are in use. Would not be part of the roads, would not include the roads.
Correct.
So the roads, in essence, would be
Would be your setback.
the setback,
Yeah,
yes?
yes.
Just out of curiosity, just so we're all kind of thinking in the same direction, is there what's the thought behind, and I'm thinking through this, but what's the thought behind of rear being more than a side, or Does it depend on what's back there? I mean, what, in other words, when those were written, do you think there was a reason why a rear and a front was more than the sides?
All I did was follow how it is in code right now.
Yeah.
Rear, front setbacks are pretty consistent, 25 and 30 foot.
Yeah.
Sides.
I'm thinking residential, you know what I mean? It
is in commercial
When they
also.
build residences, you're usually closer you can be closer to your neighbor than on the sides and the front and back. And I thought maybe it was a carryover from that. And the only reason why I go there with this is because, let's just say the engineer comes back and, I don't know, if we were able to acquire 20 more feet or whatever in the back, let's just say, then the road would come down almost where it currently is planned, but then we could have spots to the east of that. Does that make sense? And if we did that, we'd no longer have our setback. I'm just thinking ahead, that's all. Is that I'm not sure in this situation why a rear setback needs to be greater than a side setback. If it was residential, I totally understand.
Part of the setbacks is to keep uses spread from each other.
Right.
Residential, it has an impact. We also, though, have commercial and industrial setbacks. They may not be as large.
Yeah. I'm not trying to push the limits, I'm just trying to understand it.
And
I think this-
it has to do with buildings also, but with this use, it's just different. I mean, the setbacks don't have to be there, but that was just my suggestion.
I agree with the 15 feet in the back because of how cars are going to be pulling in and pulling out of this. If they go over the road, then we're going to get complaints about Sylvanus saying they're tearing up our parking lot because they're coming over into our property. To where on the side, they're just driving straight out. They're not backing up and pulling in.
There's always the possibility too. I mean, whenever Sylvanus was in full swing, that there was hundreds of cars in that parking lot. And I don't know that you guys necessarily want one of your customers parked right there where somebody's gonna be slamming car doors at 6:30,
Yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how to use your property, but.
No, my question was more of just, I was trying to get a little bit of the history behind why would a front or back be different than a side. I can understand residential, but in this situation, light industrial or whatever, I thought, anyway, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve with the amendment for the 15-foot setback on the rear.
Do I have a second?
A second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the special use permit with the amendment of 15-foot from rear, and those setbacks would be for the areas where the RVs are in use. Gary Roth?
Yes.
Carl Kinski?
Yes.
Justin Donovan?
Yes.
Gina Bryant?
Yes.
Kathy Waltz?
Yes.
Christy Cleghorn?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0-2 and will be passed on to the Board of Aldermen. Thank you all.
Special use per SUP 004-20. Jane and Dustin Martin are requesting a special use permit to allow guest lodging in an R2 general residential district at 288 South Main.
In the email that I sent you, I did bring up, you have the staff report in front of you, that Mr. and Mrs. Martin went through this process about a year, maybe a little over a year ago, at 296, I believe, South Main. Mm-hmm. This property sits right next door. They've had no complaints since that time.
And it looks great.
Very much. A lot of work, but.
I take it your business has been good on the other one?
Yeah, real good. Customers have been great. Great people come to this town.
We have some people staying now, and this weekend, we've had 60 guests since 2018 in April.
Wow. No troublesome guests or nothing. It's just something about St. John just draws a good group of people, I guess. But yeah, everybody's been great, so.
Anybody have any questions for them?
I'm glad you're doing so well.
Thank you so much.
there aren't any other questions, and motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second?
Motion is second on SUP 004-20. Gary Roth,
Yes.
Carl Kinski,
Yes.
Justin Donovan,
Yes.
Tina Bryant,
Yes.
Kathy Waltz,
Yes.
Chrissy Clegg-Orn.
Yes.
Motion carries 602 and will also be passed on to Board of Aldermen. That's all I got.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.